Now, something I noticed here, it's important. I hadn't noticed this before this sermon. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. Well, that sounds normal. It sounds kind of like what Jesus did at the Last Supper. If you're familiar with that passage, when we do communion, that's what Jesus did. He had everybody come up to the Last Supper. They had this big table. Everybody's on one side for the picture, and everything. And they have this big supper. And Jesus, he passes out the bread. He breaks the bread, and he passes out, and he blesses it. And he says, "This is my body broken for you." Sounds the same, except I realized that the verbiage sounds so much the same. I never really thought about it before. It's not his house. This is not his house. I mean, at the Last Supper, he rented the room. He provided for everybody. He's a guest in their home. Why is he breaking the bread? Why is he passing out the bread? I don't know about you, but when I go to eat at somebody else's house, I don't pass the food out. I got to be really hungry, come on, all right, here we go, let's go, I'm hungry. I mean, I don't normally do that. Even though I'm the pastor, I don't naturally pray. Sometimes people want the official, let's not choke prayer, brother pastor, I know that, and I'll do it, but if it's your house, it's your prayer, it's your bread, you pass it out. Why is that important? It's important because what you need to know is that even though Jesus is going to knock on the door of your heart, and he's not going to kick the door down. Once he's inside, he doesn't want to be a guest in your house. He wants to be the host. I put it this way so you'd remember it. He doesn't want to be a resident. He wants to be the president. He doesn't want to just live there. He wants to run your life. We have guests at our house. You do this too. We have guests at our house. We always say, "Hey, come on in, make yourself at home." If they're spending the night, we say, just make yourself at home. Mi casa es su casa. Here's the refrigerator. Here's the microwave. Here's the remote control. Our home is yours. Make yourself at home. I don't mean that. I want the remote control back. And there's some closets you better not go in. I'm not going to be happy. Some drawers I'd like for you to stay out of. And if I get up the next morning and you're going through my email and you're going through my checkbook, I'm not going to be happy with that. I don't really mean it. I want you to feel at home, but I don't really mean it. And a lot of people come to Jesus that way. They're like, "Yeah, Jesus, come on in, but you got to stay over in this little spot." Dallas Willard talks about Christians who just do sin management. He calls them vampire Christians because they just want a little blood for their sins, but they don't want anything more to do with Jesus until they get to heaven. That's not what Jesus does. And that's a good thing. I want to assure you. Because sometimes people are like, "Okay, I need forgiveness for my sins, but, I still want to live my life the way I want to live it." Listen, let me tell you something. If God is your Father and he created you, then he knows the best way for you to live. And the best life you can have is a life that's just like Jesus. And the only way to have a life like Jesus is to let him run it.